Sierra, Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Hey, what's going on, Yalis Icon? Once again, just concluded the WWE Fastlane pay-per-view, a show that actually wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. I thought going into it, you know, when Avi and I did our predictions for it, you know, we basically saying how the show was like predictable and probably going to be boring, but it was predictable majority, but it actually wasn't boring. There was a lot of a really lot of good stuff on it, and there were some surprise matches. I think they only advertised about 7 fights, you know, to the public, including the kickoff. But then I think like in total we got about 11 matches. So a lot of stuff got added to the pay-per-view. So let's just jump right into it. So starting with the kickoff show, a couple of interesting things happened in the kickoff show. They had the Iconics come out at the table talking a lot of smack, saying how that, you know, Sasha and Bayley, they've been on Raw, they've been on NXT, but they've actually never come to SmackDown, which is true. I mean, I actually said that before too, because if they're supposed to defend the belts on all brands, why would you not show up on SmackDown? Which means that maybe we're gonna get Sasha and Bayley versus the Iconics at WrestleMania, which would be really cool because that's a match that I definitely would like to see. We got Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville doing a backstage interview, and while they were doing the backstage interview, EC3 comes out, and, you know, he actually spoke. You know, he was basically flirting with Mandy Rose, and then, you know, Sonya Deville, because she's lesbian, she, you know, she actually, like, jumped in front of Mandy Rose and was talking trash to EC3, so maybe they're going to do this whole thing now where EC3 tries to, you know, get with Mandy Rose, and, you know, Sonya Deville is like hating her cock block or whatever. Sonya had her hair out, which was kind of cool because she's a really pretty, attractive woman. And when she had her hair out, I didn't even recognize her at first until she started talking. I was like, "Holy crap, that's her!" Because she usually rocks the ponytail, but today she, you know, she had her hair out. So EC3 again, he finally opened his mouth. So, you know, maybe hopefully he'll be on the SmackDown brand and he'll get some feuds and something with him will start happening. So. They changed the kickoff. They originally announced that the kickoff was going to be Andrade versus Rey Mysterio. And, you know, come to find out, I don't know when they announced it, but they changed the kickoff match to, it ended up being a tag team match with the New Day, Xavier Woods and Big E versus, who did they fight? Not The Bar. Rusev and Nakamura. Yeah, they went 2-on-2 with Rusev and Nakamura on the kickoff show. You know, because they ended up turning the Rey Mysterio Andrade match into a repeat of the Fatal 4-Way United States Championship match. But we'll get to that in a second. So after that, you know, the New Day is talking. You know, like they're out there, they're in the back, and then this guy comes up to, you know, they rolled up on Kevin Owens, and then Kofi told Kevin Owens, like, look, no hard feelings about the fact that Vince gave you the spot, you know, and he told him he was rooting for him. The two shook hands, and then then this random PA guy came up to Kofi and said the McMahons wanted to talk to him about the championship match, you know, later on tonight. So Kofi went to go talk to the McMahons, and then Woods and Big E went to have their tag team match. The match was good. Woods took majority of the punishment for the entire match, but in the end, the New Day got the win. And, you know, they went to the back, and then, you know, the actual show started. The show kicked off with The Miz versus, you know, The Miz and Shane. The show kicked off with The Miz and Shane versus the Usos for the tag team championships with the Miz's dad at ringside. You know, good match by both. There was one cool spot where you know, Shane was, he was on the top rope. He was going to do the coast to coast on one of the Usos who was in the corner. At the same time, the other Uso was going to do the splash on the Miz. So both Shane and, you know, I think it was Jey Uso, both Shane and Jay, they're like looking at each other saying like, you know, don't drop kick my partner. He's like, well, don't splash my partner. So both guys decided to do their off the top rope move at the same time. And when Jey Uso went for the splash, Shane ended up drop kicking him out of the sky instead of hitting his brother who was in the corner, which is a really cool spot. But you know, towards the end, the Miz had one of the Usos down for the count, and the Miz's dad told him to do a top rope move because his dad is a fan of aerial stuff. So he climbs the top rope, and then when the Miz comes off the top rope, you know, the Us got his knees up, rolled the Miz up into the pin, and the Usos retained the championship. So at that point, I'm figuring the Miz is going to be mad at his dad for talking him into climbing the top rope. But just the opposite happened. The Miz was actually really cool about it. They were in his hometown of Ohio. He hugged his dad. Shane hugged his dad. They apologized to each other. And then Shane just turned on the Miz. He clotheslined him from behind, beat him up, was putting the hands to him, kicking him, choking him. He put a triangle choke on him on the floor. His dad was over the barricade, like yelling at Shane to stop. And then Shane got up and put his hands around his dad's face and like mushed him back into his seat. So shockingly, Shane McMahon is the one who's gonna go heel going into their obvious one-on-one match at WrestleMania. It would have made sense if it was the Miz, because the Miz is the better heel. And I like rooting for Shane at WrestleMania, but you can't really get mad when they decide to switch certain things up. So they're gonna end up having heel Shane McMahon and a face Miz, going one-on-one at Mania. And the Usos retain, so we'll see who their next opponents are going into Mania. After that, they did, I believe it was the Asuka Mandy Rose match. I mean, there was really nothing in the match, except Corey Graves like going crazy over how hot Mandy Rose is. But Sonya Deville, she was actually interfering throughout the entire fight, and she did this one thing where she picked up the apron. And she put the apron, like she grabbed the bottom of the apron and put it on the top of the canvas so she can go under and get a kendo stick. So Asuka throws Mandy against the ropes, and then Mandy slipped on the apron that Sonya Deville had put up there by accident, and then Asuka kicked her in the face, knocked her out, and got the pin. And Mandy was actually upset, she was upset at Sonya for doing that, but it was an accident. So I mean, I guess they're doing something now where they're trying to break these two up or have these two feud. I mean, it's obviously not going to amount to a one-on-one match at Mania, but I don't see the point in breaking them up. But I mean, Mandy Rose is hot and blonde, so what they're probably thinking backstage. So Asuka needs an opponent now, and with all the horsewomen doing something, and with Ronda Rousey, doing something, and with Ember Moon, who's out with a shoulder injury, I mean, Naomi has to get the match. Like, there's no other person on the roster who's left who can present a credible threat to Asuka. Naomi and Asuka both tagged for a while, so there's like some history there, and they even had a one-on-one match for the title at one point. So I'd actually like to see that, Naomi versus Asuka, but we'll see what happens after that. So finally, the New Day, they go backstage. Biggie and Woods, they see Kofi. He's still standing in front of Mr. McMahon's office. Kofi's like, yeah, I've been out here for over an hour, and then he never opened the door, and I keep knocking, and blah, blah, blah. So Biggie just opens the door, just walks into Vince's office. Biggie and Xavier start screaming at Vince McMahon about how Kofi's, 11 years, and you owe him, and listen to the fans, and blah, blah, blah. So McMahon's like, all right, I'll put you in a match, 3 people, he's like, I'll make it a 3-person match. I'll put you in the ring, and the match starts right now. So Kofi goes out to the ring. He gets in the ring. Everybody's thinking we're going to have a triple threat tag team match for the WWE Championship. But at the last second, the announcer said the match is actually going to be a 2-on-1 handicap match. And Vince McMahon put Kofi Kingston in a 2-on-1 handicap match against the Bar. And the Bar beat the shit out of him for like 20 minutes. The crowd was upset. They were chanting, "This sucks. This match is boring. We want Kofi." Like they were pretty, like they were real upset, at the whole situation. And, Kofi lost, like he, the Bar pinned him, and that was it. Kofi got screwed again by the Authority. The New Day actually came out to try to help him when he was getting beat up at one point, but then they got jumped by Nakamura and Rusev. So, there's a lot of stuff going on with the New Day right now, but I think at this point, Kofi has to get the match, because they keep talking about him. They keep screwing, like Vince keeps finding ways to like jerk him and screw him over. So you have to think that Kofi's going to get the one-on-one match with Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And I just spoiled the WWE Championship match. So what came after that? So after that, they did the Raw Tag Team match with Gable and Rude versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus The Revival. A lot of high spots, a lot of cool stuff. The crowd likes Black and Ricochet, but thanks to the Shatter Machine, The Revival retain. I have no idea where the tag team Raw division is headed, but the Revival still have the belt, so anything to keep them from signing with AEW. So then Elias showed up. So we got an Elias sighting, and he came out, and Elias came out 3 times, and he cut ass on the crowd the whole night, making fun of them for the fact that their team sucks. Like LeBron's not there, and how like dumb people are from Ohio, and he called Kofi a loser, just like everybody Like Elias cut ass the whole night. He came out 3 separate times during the night, and the final time that he came out right before the main event, and he addressed the crowd for the final time. And then Lacey Evans came out, then she did her catwalk thing, and then she went back up. And then Elias was just looking at her like, what the heck is this chick doing? And then he got RKO'd out of nowhere by Randy Orton. And then as soon as Randy Orton stood up, he caught a phenomenal forearm by AJ Styles. So we're definitely getting AJ Styles versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania, which is good because that's a match that I do want to see. But to see Orton come out of nowhere and lower the boom on Elias, only to then take a phenomenal forearm, I thought was really cool. And it's a good way to set up that match, because with the two of them, you really don't need a lot of hype, but there should be a lot of hype going into it now. So then they did. So now the United States Championship. So since they switched it from Rey versus Andrade to the Fatal 4-Way with Rey versus Andrade versus Truth versus Samoa Joe. Fatal 4-Way for the United States Championship match. Basically like a rematch from from SmackDown, and it had its it was pretty much almost the same match. Carmella and Selena Vega got into it at one point, but then in the end, it ended up Samoa Joe, he made Rey Mysterio pass out, not tap out. He made Rey Mysterio pass out, and Samoa Joe retains the United States Championship. And you got to think he's going to fight John Cena at WrestleMania, because they were supposed to have a match, I think, a year ago when Joe got hurt. And because Truth keeps doing the whole United States Championship thing, with John Cena being his hero, and then Samoa Joe basically saying screw the open challenge and blah blah blah. That's pretty much where we're headed. Which to be honest, it would be cool if we could get Andrade and Zelina Vega versus Truth and Carmella at WrestleMania. But then Rey Mysterio wouldn't have anything to do. So I guess you got to go with Rey versus Andrade one more time at Mania. And then R-Truth and Carmella are the ones that get left out the mix. So we'll see what happens. Hopefully they find something for everybody, well, not everybody, but at least, for them, because all 4 parties involved in that United States Championship match actually should have something to do at WrestleMania, because they're all really good talents. What came after that? I know I'm probably like off with the order here, but the women's tag, Sasha and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Tamina. This went pretty much as everyone expected. And Sasha and Bayley got the victory. Nia and Tamina beat the crap out of them after the match was over, which brought out Beth Phoenix, who was the special guest commentator for the match. Beth Phoenix came out to basically save Sasha and Bayley, because she said that the way Nia and Tamina were acting was a disgrace to the women's division, and she's like, that's not what we fought for things like this to happen. Beth Phoenix ended up punching Tamina in the face, because the two of them got history, and then Nia Jax hit her from behind. They jumped Beth Phoenix, and then Natalya came out to save her best friend, and then Natalya and Beth got beat up. So maybe Beth Phoenix versus Natalya versus Tamina and Jax at Mania. Who knows? I mean, I don't really care too much, but at least it'd be cool to see Beth Phoenix have one more match. So, but Sasha and Bayley retain those tag team championships, and like I said before, I feel like they're gonna face the Iconics. One can only hope. So then we ended up getting the WWE Championship match, and they announced that the match was still going to be a triple threat, which everyone was surprised about, because we're just like, how's it going to be a triple threat when Kofi just got the brakes beat off of him by the Bar? So they ended up bringing out Mustafa Ali. Mustafa Ali, who was supposed to get a title match at the Elimination Chamber, they gave him his match back, and they put him in the triple threat match. The fans actually shitted all over this match, and I was happy about it, because the fans didn't shit on the match because they didn't like the match. The fans shitted on the match because they wanted Kofi Kingston to have the match, and Kofi Kingston didn't get the match. The whole match, the fans were chanting, "We want Kofi, we want Kofi." They booed Mustafa Ali, they booed Kevin Owens, they booed Daniel Bryan. They chanted, "We want Kofi" all the way throughout, and Daniel Bryan got the pin on Mustafa Ali in the end, and Daniel Bryan's going to WrestleMania, which we all hope is going to be against Kofi Kingston. Eric Rowan interfered with Kevin Owens at one point, which prevented Kevin Owens from getting back into the ring. So you got to think Harper is going to come back soon, and then Harper and Rowan are going to beat the crap out of Owens, which is going to bring back Sami Zayn, and then we're going to get Owens and Zayn versus Harper and Rowan at WrestleMania, which I'm fine with because that gives us Kofi versus Daniel Bryan 1-on-1, and that's basically the only match that I want to see. But Daniel Bryan retained, so we'll see how it goes. After that was Becky Lynch versus Charlotte. Becky came out with crutches with the bad leg. Charlotte made fun of her the whole time by having the bad leg. The two of them had, like a back and forth, like physical, like rough little match there. And then during the match, I believe Charlotte had the figure four. She was going for the figure four because I was doing something else at one point, and I think she had her in the figure four. And then Ronda Rousey just shows up out of nowhere and just punched Becky in the face. And then she said something to the referee. If you can't read her lips, but if you got the guess, she's like, "Yeah, I just punched Becky in the face, so now you got to disqualify Charlotte." So, which the ref did. He disqualified Charlotte because Ronda never touched Charlotte. She just punched Becky in the face, so the ref had to disqualify Charlotte. And because of the disqualification, Becky's going to WrestleMania. We're getting the triple threat match. Charlotte was pissed. Becky was happy. And then, then we moved. Then that's when Elias came out, to do his final performance before he caught that RKO. So then the main event was the 6-man tag: Lashley, Corbin, McIntyre versus The Shield. And I can't really say anything because it went exactly how you thought it would go, which was The Shield defeated, McIntyre, Lashley, and Corbin. Corbin took the pin, which he very well should have took the pin. And that was pretty much it. So, Seth is now moving on to Brock Lesnar. Lord knows what Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose are good. Dean Ambrose will probably, wrestle Drew McIntyre. Maybe Roman Reigns goes one-on-one with Bobby Lashley. Who knows? Well, Bobby Lashley's supposed to have an Intercontinental Championship match tomorrow on Raw. The only two titles that weren't defended tonight was the Intercontinental Championship and obviously the Universal Championship because Brock never shows up. If you want to count the Cruiserweight, the Cruiserweight wasn't defended either, but both tag belts were were defended. The United States Championship was defended. The SmackDown Women's title was defended, and the WWE Heavyweight title was defended, and and the women's tag, like all three tag belts were defended. So, yeah, like I said, it wasn't a bad show. Like it honestly, I seriously I can't say anything bad about it. It was predictable. Like the show was still predictable. Like nothing special happened, but at the same time, it was still a good show. So hats off to the performers, and everybody that put on the show because it was really cool. So a lot of the matches are already set up. We seem to know where this pay-per-view is headed. And we're officially on the road to WrestleMania. So that was it, guys. I'm headed out of here. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. We'll definitely be doing more videos as we get closer and closer to WrestleMania because the prediction for that one is going to be bananas. So take care. Until next time, as always, I'm out this bitch.